Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a Reddit story that I found titled Me, 33-year-old male, and my wife, 33-year-old female of 9 years, she cheated and I'm gone. And guys, this is a story about a guy who got married obviously really young, because it says here that he and his wife were 33 and they've been married 9 years, which means that they got married at 24 years of age, which is way too freaking young, as I keep telling you guys all the time. One, don't get married, given how things are in this day and age. But two, if you're going to do it, wait until you're like 30 years old and get some real life experience, because you don't have any in your early 20s. You don't know shit. Okay, but this guy obviously did it, and lo and behold, he and his wife are both hard workers. They're working all the time, and he finds things are a little suspicious. He's noticing very odd behavior from her, which you're going to hear about. And next thing you know, he gets an attorney, a PI, to find out what's going on. And as it turns out, his gut was right, and she's having an affair with some guy in her office. And as you can imagine, the guy's obviously really hurt, but when he gets over it, he makes his plan to basically serve her papers in her office, a lawyer getting served in her own office. That's kind of funny. And he packs up his shit and leaves town. And what's different about this story, guys, is that instead of the usual plotting revenge and all that some other stories have done, this is basically about a guy who, he finds this out, it hurts, figures out his plan of escape, and gets out of town and moves on with his life. That's honestly the best way to go about things, because when you are dealing with revenge and all that, no matter what, even though it may feel good temporarily, you're still carrying a lot of pain. All right, and that sucks. Life's short. You don't need to go through that. And some people need that, I guess, in a way to move on. Who the hell knows? But this is a situation when a guy just, that's it. He's out of there, picks up and leaves on another part of the country and starts over, which is awesome. Because guys, no matter what, no matter how bad it gets, we all have the opportunity to get a clean slate, to get a second chance and start over. So many guys are in unhappy marriages or unhappy situations and they feel trapped. And it's really sad. But this is a story showing you exactly this guy gets out and he starts over. So, starts out saying, I will try to keep this brief. Thanks to all of you who have contributed to breakup threads and infidelity threads over the past few months. This is regards to Reddit. There have been many evenings when many hours have been spent poring over the advice that is generated from these posts. It has helped me to formulate a plan and then execute it. Goes to show you guys that when these guys post stories online, other people read it and hear about it, and they read the advice and comments from other people, it does help them. So that's why I like doing what I do here, sharing these different stories and adding in pieces of advice and things I've learned over the years to help other guys out. Because I get emails every day from guys all over the world telling me how I've helped them out. I've helped them get out of a bad situation, have the strength to improve their lives, improve themselves, and also these guys appreciate reading all the comments that you guys do in my videos because it helps them as well. And of course, it's very entertaining along the way as well. He says, here is the short version of my last 7 months. Happily married, so he thought. No kids, both professionals. My job requires a good bit of travel, which is not a big deal since her job focuses her to work 80 plus hours a week. Ouch. 80 hours, man. Shit. We are both very busy, but her much more than myself. A few things didn't add up last September, so based on the advice of Reddit, the investigation began. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on because she was excellent at covering her tracks. Guys, women are master at it. Okay, I'm not saying guys aren't good at it too, but women are really, they're like spies. It's amazing. Some James Bond shit. Around November, all the pieces came together and outside help was brought in to help get all my ducks in a row. An attorney was hired and so was a private eye. In January, everything was confirmed 100% by the PI and that was all the proof that I needed. After much thought, today is the day that everything ends. I've been planning it since the visual confirmation earlier this year. She is being served at her office today at 4 p.m. Based on conversations she has had with me and conversations she has been having with the other guy, there is no way she has any idea this is coming from me. Again, imagine that she's a lawyer and she's in her law office, and imagine just somebody shows up. Yeah, I don't know how it is in real life. I mean, you always see in movies and TV, and again, we all know movies and TV are bullshit a lot of the times. How somebody pretend to be somebody else, then oops, surprise, you're being served. I'd like to know how that works a lot of times in real life. Goes on. She says, it will be a shock, but certainly not a surprise. The divorce will be very simple since we earn about the same amount of money and don't have a ton of stuff. The truck is in front of the house and is now loaded. That's a great feeling. I mean, he knows at least that they both make about the same money, so it's not going to have too much trouble. So at least he thinks and he hopes, and in terms of division of assets, he thinks that things will be pretty smooth. But there's nothing ever smooth in divorces, but there are definitely some that are better than others. But right here, he says he's got the truck all packed up and he is ready to go. I mean, imagine that great feeling, you know? He says here, I am moving out of state. It doesn't matter where I live since I'm in sales and my territory is half of the United States. The furniture that is going with me are the pieces that were given to me by my family when we were married. She can have everything else and she is going to be keeping 3/4 of it anyway. I'm driving the truck myself and can't wait to get to my new condo and start a brand new life. My last 6 months have been pure hell. Well, this guy deserves it. I mean, imagine this. I mean, finding out that someone you're in love with has been cheating on you, your wife, and having to go through all that. But then you figure out your plan. You deal with the pain. You get over as best you can to move on. You figure out your plan of action. He got himself a condo already in another state on the other side of the country without her knowing about it. Got things moved around, got things planned out. The moving truck is all packed up, and boom. Gets in the car and off he goes to his new life. I mean, imagine that feeling. How many guys are watching this right now in a shitty fucking marriage and miserable and would just love to do that? Well, let me tell you, it is possible, but you're just going to have to take, obviously, a hit to make it happen. And then with all this knowledge that you've gained, guys, you could then now have a nice clean slate and a nice life on your terms. Because, guys, this guy was young. He said he was 24 years old when he got married. And so many guys don't know any better. This is why I think it's so important that young guys understand these things about how things are in this day and age. This is why more and more I'm thinking, I've decided I'm going to do a book one day. Okay, probably in the next 6 months to a year. And I really think it's going to be targeting especially younger guys, because this is stuff guys got to know, because all these guys fall into this trap and go through this shit. It's completely unnecessary. He continues, here is the question I think I already know the answer, but would love to hear your opinions. Her other guy is a co-worker at the law firm. He is early 50s with a wife and 3 daughters. They don't appear to work in the same department, and he is not her boss. By all appearances, he has a great family and a great life. Well, it ain't so great if he's banging your wife, dude. Do I contact his wife as I'm leaving town? Would you want to know? Am I just being spiteful? And he goes on these little parts of this saying, she cheated and I'm out trying to figure out whether to ruin lies on the way out the door. She got the papers, phone calls and texts nonstop for the last 15 to so minutes. Can you imagine that? She's getting served, and all of a sudden, boom, your phone blows up with all the messages and emails and messages. Holy crap. Her sister and mother have phoned me as well. I have not responded to any of them. Also, I am moving from a large city in the Northeast to Florida. Trying to get to South Carolina tonight and then to my final stop tomorrow. I'm stopping for gas and coffee right now, and I really appreciate all the kind words. This guy's obviously updating his story as he goes. He continues, I'm still on the road, but getting closer to my new home. Last night was very interesting. I did not speak with her or text her. I did speak on the phone with my mother and her sister. My words were very careful and thought out as her sister, as I would expect her to hang up the phone with me and tell her everything. Telling, obviously, his now soon-to-be ex-wife. Talking to my mom was not easy. It is a humiliating situation to discuss with your family. My mom gave me 100% support and is coming to visit me next weekend at my new place. Moms are the best. That's awesome. That's great that his mom's supportive and behind it. Because, I mean, having to admit that to your family that, yeah, my wife, the one you've known for all these years, she was having an affair. I mean, that even though she was doing that, it still is a major blow to the ego. It makes you feel like shit. I will get settled in and update everything in a couple days. I've decided not to contact the boyfriend's wife. I could change my mind down the road, but for now, no contact with her is planned. Looking forward to starting new. And this is the part where that was the first part of his story. Now this is the update as to, he's going to get more into detail about what actually happened with her and how he discovered, what led to him finding all this shit out. And he says here, I got to my new place Friday evening and got unpacked and settled in on Saturday. It is very strange to be starting over again, but it's the right thing to do. That's awesome. I'm sure it feels strange for this guy because he's been with this woman, married to her for 9 years, and probably engaged or living with her probably at least 1 or 2 years prior to that, you know. And so but now he's a grown-ass man in his early 30s with a good career, good money, got his own condo down in Florida. I live in the Northeast. I live north of Boston. So imagine going from the Boston climate where it's going to be cold 5 or 6 months of the year to going down to Florida. Totally different world. You know, this guy's going to have a blast. And I do love where I live, but I must admit, as I'm getting older, guys, I'm getting pretty fucking tired of winter. I think Florida may be in my future probably the next couple of years. Continues. Thank you all for your encouragement and your questions. Here are some answers. There was never a response to my soon-to-be ex-wife. Her calls and texts went unanswered, and they eventually stopped yesterday morning. So he's not even talking to her. The last one she sent said that she will sign the papers and grant me the divorce. He says, wow, thanks. There was some conversation between her sister and myself. We had a brief guarded phone call Thursday night and then a long and very helpful follow-up on Saturday. While she wants to protect her sister, she understands exactly why I did what I did and does not blame me for it. After the call, there doesn't seem to be any hostility towards me, and I'm grateful for that. I'm guessing the reason he's talking to his sister-in-law, the wife's sister, is obviously they got along really well and something like that, you know, and obviously share his side of the story because, you know, even though the wife's in the wrong, I can see her probably making up a whole bunch of bullshit and trying to make him out to be the villain. Even though he's moving on, you know, a lot of guys don't want to be, they want to move on, but they want to be seen as the villain, the bad guy, and have all these bullshit stories made up about them, so I get that. And her sister probably knows her sister's nature. Based on your many suggestions, the other guy's wife will have to remain in the dark from me. Leaving the situation for me means not staying involved. Now, if she called me up and wanted to know what was going on, I would tell her everything. No hesitation at all. Yeah, I can totally understand how this guy would want to tell the wife of the guy that was banging his wife, but he wants to move on completely. This is what's different about this story compared to other ones I've done. This guy, again, he served the wife the papers, he packed all his shit in the moving van, and he got out of town, and he's starting over completely on the other side of the country. And he could easily pick up the phone or find out this woman's email and contact her and spill it, but you know what? He is just moving on. But ultimately, this guy's going to get caught anyway. It just happens. Here is the hard part. How did I catch her? Now we're going to get into it. He says, last summer, there were some subtle changes in her behavior, and each one of these by itself is no biggie. But as a group, they bothered me. She started drinking more. It went from 1 drink of wine once a week to nearly every night. There were a couple of times where she lost her cool over little things that tend to happen in life. Blowing up at a waitress, a guy in the metro, kid at Chipotle, etc. She was never like that before. In other words, she's crazy. She's super unhappy. She's crazy unhappy. When people go from hardly ever drinking, all of a sudden drinking a lot, that'll tell you something. And just blowing up or the dumbest shit. Everybody can have a blow up every once in a while, but if it's constant and that's not her usual character, something's up. She's really unhappy. When people generally are really unhappy, they need an outlet. Hence the alcohol, hence obviously banging the dude in her office. You can see these things coming. Got to pay attention to these things, guys. For those of you that do relationships, and for those of you guys that are in marriages. There was a night where she yelled at her parents on the phone and hung up on them, which was way out of character for her. But here's the one that sets it all in motion. At a wedding last fall, one of her college friends was there, and recently divorced. The friend was lonely and feeling terrible about herself. My wife suggested that someone should sleep with her to get her confidence back, and that she was all right with me doing it if it was me. So his wife's saying, my friend's sad and she needs to get her confidence back, and she ought to hook up with a guy to make herself feel better and rebuild her confidence. And oh, by the way, husband, you know, you could do it if you want to. It sounds crazy, but obviously she's saying this because basically she's done with the husband and she's obviously banging some other dude. So this is a way to make her not feel so bad. Crazy. Some of you guys may think that's bullshit, but I actually do believe that's possible. You can't, anything's possible when it comes to women and them being emotional and unhappy, and just trust me. Continues, Needless to say, I was stunned and would never do anything like that. That night, while laying in bed, the only reason that I could think of to make her say that was that she was fooling around and looking for a way to ease her guilt. Exactly. And I was right. It just took me a while to piece together what was going on. As stated earlier, the guy is an older man who works for the same firm as her. For a while, they were meeting during the day at different hotels around town. Obviously, this is what the private investigator found. When I was out of town, she was hosting him in our home. Not cool. I mean, none of this is cool, but the fact that she was hooking up with dude in the house, ugh. They used our guest bedroom, which did not occur to me for almost 6 weeks. After establishing how they communicated, burner phone hidden in her car, and where they were meeting, our house mostly, it was easy for me to gather all the evidence that would make it easy for me to file papers. Thank you to a lawyer and a private eye. With a PI, you can hear and see everything in graphic detail. There were a lot of tears shed by me when confronted with the blunt reality of what was happening and what was being said about me to him and what was happening in my own home. That sucks, man. I mean, I feel bad for this guy, but you know what? He at least had the guts to contact a lawyer, contact a PI, find out exactly what's going on, and just instead of just turning a blind eye or being too weak to leave and say, I just don't want to start over, because some guys would be like that. This guy finds out the info, and he prepares his plan of action and gets the hell out of Dodge. Continues. However, as many of you have pointed out, she is the one in the wrong, and I can hold my head up high knowing that I did the right thing. He did do the right thing. Oh well, I hope that answers some of your questions. And he goes on, no more contact between us. Used a private eye to help me get the proof. So that is the end of his story. There's nothing else beyond that point as far as I know. But again, what I like about this story is the guy is just moving the hell on, okay? Again, the elaborate revenge stories, they're definitely funny as hell to read and funny as hell to listen to. And believe me, some of these people, they definitely deserve it. But this is one, he handled it in the most rational way possible. This shit happened. Okay, I'm moving the fuck on. I'm not going to try therapy. I'm not going to try marriage counseling. I'm not going to go to the pastor, the priest to talk to us about it. He didn't even confront her. He's like, that's it. I'm fucking out of here. I'm planning. I'm talking to the lawyer, the PI, getting all the information, all my ducks in a row. Serve her and get out of Dodge. I think that's awesome. And I hope this guy has a great life. And I hope he learns, who knows, a lot of guys have to go through a lot of shit before they really learn a lesson. He's in Florida, fresh start, and he has a great life. And he doesn't get married again. Hook up with a lot of women, have fun there, but don't get married. So, anyhow, guys, thought that would be a good one to share. A little different of a story compared to the other ones I do. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.